Welcome back. I'm James Kimber. I'm a physician assistant and founder of PA Mentor Online, bringing you the best tips and tools you'll need to get into a PA program. On this channel, we do strategy videos for pre-PA students who are currently in the application process, as well as interviewing some of the successful applicants we've helped get into a PA program and currently practicing PAs, some of which work with our group. So if you're new here, consider subscribing to our channel so you can stay up to date on the latest information that we put out. If you have any questions or comments, you'd like to hear about a particular PA program, you want more information about your personal statement, mock interview, just leave us a comment below and we'll get back to you right away. Thanks.
Welcome to Physician Assistant Mentor Online.
Welcome back. Today we're interviewing Courtney. Courtney got into the PA program at St. Catherine's University. Courtney originally came to us to work on her personal statement and then came back later when she got her interviews at different PA programs. But we'll go ahead and get into the video and let her tell you her story. Okay, so welcome to another edition of the PA Mentor, where we're interviewing students that we've worked with who've successfully gotten into their PA programs. Today we're with Courtney, and if you could tell us, actually I just said, but if you could tell us your name and the program that you got into.
Yeah, my name is Courtney, and I got into St. Kate's in Minnesota.
Congratulations. I know this is an exciting time for you.
Thank you.
So we just kind of want to go back. Can you tell us where you first became interested in medicine?
Yeah, so becoming interested in medicine. So I hated the doctor when I was little. Absolutely dreaded it, hated it, wanted nothing to do with it, anything. And then all of a sudden I got into high school and I found that I really had an aptitude for science. And so going into college, I knew I wanted to go for science, but I didn't know what I wanted to go for. So the next logical choice was then medical school. So it just kind of fell into place where I knew I was going to go for science, and then I decided on medical school. So that's kind of how I got into the medical field.
Okay, pretty much normal like most people.
Yeah.
What about becoming a PA? So where did you first learn, or how did you first learn about the PA field?
Yeah, so that was kind of an interesting one because, like I said, I was planning to go to medical school all throughout college. And I had a friend freshman year who was going to be a PA. That's what I wanted to do all throughout college. She knew that coming in. And I never thought anything of it because I never really knew what a PA did. I had one when I was younger, had a good time, had good talks with her, didn't really know what she did. So I never really thought about PA school. And then I took OChem my junior year of college, and I hated it and thought if medical school was anything like OChem, I would never make it. And I didn't ever want to do that again. So in my mid-college crisis, I decided to look on Google of things that I could do in the medical field, kind of on the same pathway of where I wanted to go, but don't change too much. And that's how I found PA school. So it kind of happened upon it. Was never planning on it, but definitely glad I made that decision because I know for sure that medical school is not right for me. So PA school is what I want to do.
Great. Where did you attend undergrad?
Yeah, so I went to the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, and that's where I did all of my undergrad courses, and I finished all of my prereqs for PA school there. I didn't end up taking anything at any other colleges. I ended up just finishing it all there. Since I was on the medical school track already, I kind of had everything set into place.
So you were pretty lucky because a lot of students, they often have to go to other universities to complete their prereqs.
Yeah, I got really lucky, and especially because I decided my junior year at the end of it. I really worked hard my senior year and got all the classes in that I needed to so that I didn't have to take them somewhere else and so that I could be done in 4 years.
Okay. So I think you actually already answered, but we'll go ahead and ask, what was the most difficult course that you had? I think you mentioned that the OChem was the one that hung you up.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. OChem was tough. I never want to do it again. I struggled through it, managed to pass it.
Okay. What about the GRE? Did you have to take the GRE?
Yeah, so I did take the GRE. And that's kind of a trap that I fell into. So I took it, I applied to school twice. So I applied during my junior year, or like right after my junior year of college. So it would have been starting after my senior year. And then I applied again this year, which would be 2 years post-graduation. But so I took my GRE one time while I was in college, did really well on it, but then decided the second time that I applied that I needed to retake it so that it looked like I was, putting in effort and I still wanted this. So I retook it and then decided that I didn't like my score and retook it a third time. So I think that was a big mistake because the GRE, as long as you do well, average, above average, you don't need to be perfect on it. So I kind of fell into that trap, but I did take the GRE.
So this was your second time applying, correct?
Yeah.
What did you learn after the first time? Did you look back and think, oh my gosh, this is where I probably could have improved, or?
Yeah, huge. I learned so much. So really from the first time, I took away a lot, and I think the biggest part that I took away was the Casper application because it can be kind of confusing, and getting transcripts can be confusing. But what I learned from that was, all of the different things that go into it, and then realizing after I didn't get in all of the things that my application was missing. Because the first time around, I thought, okay, this is a pretty good application. But then not getting in, I learned, I'm missing this, or I need to be stronger on this, or this, or this. So I kind of learned everything. It was kind of a holistic learning about it.
And how did you go about making yourself more competitive the next time around?
Yeah, so to do that, I took a step back and I did look at my application and I found the areas that I thought were weak. And I thought, the weakest part for me was my patient care experience. So on that one, I made sure to get a better patient care experience. My previous experience was as a CNA, but it wasn't a certified, so it was just a nursing assistant. So I didn't have any certifications. So the second time around, I made sure to get a job where I'm more hands-on with patients and I have a lot more certificates, a lot of more certifications, just to kind of bump my application in that aspect. And then also redoing that personal statement was huge, because the first time it wasn't bad, but the second time it was completely who I was and what I wanted to be. And I feel like I really spoke to that, and I feel like a lot of schools liked that, and that's what really got me interviews.
Okay. Did you encounter any difficulties when you were going through this process? Like juggling work hours with your clinical hours, or?
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest part while I was in school was trying to juggle, working full time, and going to class and studying. So I didn't end up working full time. I worked part time, but I made sure to start early so that I could get, a lot of hours. And then on the weeks that I wasn't as busy, I would pick up more shifts. So over the summer, I would work a lot. It was tough to juggle that, and it's also tough to juggle, some of those jobs that get you patient care experience because they're not always the most glamorous jobs, and they don't usually pay the most either. So I know that's tough for a lot of people.
Right.
It was tough, but as long as you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, you can get through it.
Right. That's true. This time around, how many programs did you apply to, and what were some of the factors that influenced your decision to apply to these programs?
Yeah, so I went really overkill. That I should apply to like 10 to 12 programs. I decided to completely apply to 14. I applied to a lot more than that, but then I realized that I didn't need to finish them because I started getting applications, or I started getting so definitely didn't need to apply to all of them. But in order to pick the programs that I applied to a couple that I had previously applied, because sometimes I feel like as a second-time applicant, they look at you that much stronger because they see that you're, still pursuing this. So I applied to a couple programs like that. And then also there was this book that I got on Amazon that had a list of all the programs in the U.S. And so I took that with a grain of salt because it wasn't completely, accurate with their prerequisites. But then it was nice to look through that and look, I want to be around the Midwest where I'm from. So let's look at some programs around there and then look at requirements. And then I would look at what the book said for requirements and then go back on the program's website to just, kind of see if they were the same. So that really helped because I was able to, look through all these programs and see, am I a good fit for this program? Does this look like it would be, a place I'd want to be? So that was really helpful.
Out of the programs that you applied to, how many did you receive interviews for?
Yeah, so far I've received, let me see, I wrote it down. I received 4 interviews so far. I have, I think, 7 still outstanding. So I still have a lot of, leeway kind of there. But I took 4 interviews. I was waitlisted at 1. The very first interview that I did, I was waitlisted at. My second 2, I was accepted to. And then my 4th interview that I got, I ended up canceling because I was already accepted into my top 2 schools.
Right.
So I gave that up.
I think you told me before that one of the schools that you did interview with, you just didn't really feel a connection with that school.
Yeah.
But then the program that you wanted to get into, that one you just felt really great after the interview.
Yeah, definitely. So the first one that I interviewed with, it was just definitely not my style. It was really far away from home, and I didn't feel comfortable with it at all. And I walked out of the interview and I felt awful. And that was one of my biggest, talking points with myself of trying to figure out why I felt so awful about this. But after realizing that, it was really important for me to recognize that we're also interviewing this school to see if we'd be a good fit there. So as much as it didn't feel good to come out of this interview and realize I didn't like it at all, it was really helpful to walk into my next interview and kind of take it in and be like, could I see myself here? Because I couldn't at that first one. So having that experience, was tough, but also it really helped.
It does. It's funny you'd say that. It is tough. I mean, everybody feels a little dejected when you don't get accepted, but it's that experience that helps you for the other ones.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So tell us about your Casper experience. I mean, I know you were saying for the second time around you learned from the first time because everybody says Casper's a bit daunting in terms of the time it takes to enter everything.
Yeah, it definitely is. So Casper, like I said, I had done it the one time before. So it's really nice if you've previously done the Casper cycle because you're able to put all that information that you had already submitted back in. So I think it was 24 to 48 hours that they would, re-put it back in. And then all you have to do is go back through and check it to make sure it's still accurate. And that's like the basic information, like where you come from, like status, marital status, like income status, things like that. That kind of fills back in. So that's kind of nice because that takes, I don't know, probably takes like a half hour to an hour to fill that in. So it's just kind of nice to have that done. But I started the day the cycle opened. Okay. I actually took off of work so that I could, go back in and start everything. And my personal statement I had started, so the cycle opens in April. I started my personal statement in probably January or February. And every couple days I would write down, a thought that I have, maybe this would be a good idea. And then I would come back to it because I'm not the type of person that can sit and write something. And it was nicer to just compile all these ideas and then put them in one. So I actually had my personal statement done by the day Casper opened, which was super nice. So I could just put that on there. And then I also had a lot of the supplemental questions that programs ask. I had ideas for those. I didn't have them written, but I had ideas written down for, if they ask a specific scenario about diversity or what are some of the other ones they ask, like a difficult situation, just kind of things that you can expect to be asking. I had ideas written down so that when it came down to it, I could just sit down and think back to that idea and the words.
Okay. How about shadowing PAs? Where did you go or how did you go about finding them?
Yeah, so that's definitely a hard one if you don't have connections. So my college actually did like an undergrad shadowing program. So we were paired with a whole bunch of providers. It was different. It was PAs, MDs, DOs, everything. And then you could kind of pick. So I did a lot of shadowing through that in college. But then also, like I said, to keep my application, going, like I didn't just stop when college graduated. I met with some friends who one of their dads was a doctor, and he knew some PAs, and he got me in contact with them to shadow them. And then also through my job, since I work with quite a few PAs, it's kind of scary to ask them if you can shadow them or if they know anybody. But James and I had this conversation before, as long as they know who you are, they know the process of school, and they're probably pretty willing to help you get a letter or do shadowing, and that's kind of how I found it.
It is important. I mean, a lot of times we try to recommend getting either volunteer positions or a working position where there are going to be PAs around, because I mean, you're not going to find them walking into an office trying to find them, but if you run into them through work, we're more open to taking students that way. So that is the best way. So this St. Catherine's being your top choice, tell us why you're excited about going to this program.
Yeah, so I'm really excited because, so the first time I applied, this was my number one program, and I was really excited. I looked at their stats, and I was like, okay, I have these stats, I can make it in there. And it's close to home, and so I thought, maybe I'll get in here. And it turns out, a week later, I got a decline letter. So I was like pretty hurt about it. I wasn't going to get in. So this year when I got in, I'm super excited since it was my top choice. And I'm even more excited because I work near it. So I have a lot of connections with a lot of the PAs and a lot of the doctors in the area. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to transition into having more responsibilities and still being with the same people that I know, because I know those are going to be the people that support me, and it's going to be really cool just to be in an environment with them where I'm working with them mm-hmm. more.
Okay. So this is usually the part that most people who are watching the video are most interested in is, what tips or advice do you have for those who are now currently in the process or pursuing a career as a PA?
Yeah, okay. So the biggest tip that I have, let's see, I had a whole bunch. Letters of recommendation, though. For sure, start thinking of who you want to ask early. You need to know who you want to ask, that you can, formulate that conversation in your head, because it's kind of an uncomfortable thing to do. But everybody knows that you need letters, and most people are pretty willing. But you've got to think in advance so that you can, kind of figure out how you want to go about asking. And
you need to establish that relationship. You're not going to ask somebody you just met 2 weeks ago.
Right, exactly. And that's a big thing too, is, once you know that you need a letter, it's a little bit easier to, try to build, like, I work with a ton of different doctors and PAs every day. But once I knew who I kind of wanted to talk to and ask, I started working with them more. I would take cases with them more just so that I could be a little bit closer with them, and then they knew a little bit better who I was.
Right.
So I think that's a big tip. Also, having a letter from a PA, definitely, hands down, should do that, since it is PA school. And my other tip is just basically really buy into it and stay the path, because it's really tough, and it's super tough to, be working full time, studying for the GRE, taking the GRE, and writing your personal statement and trying to get letters of recommendation. And it's really tough sometimes to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But as long as you can, stick it out, you'll get there someday. And I know that was super helpful for me, because just realizing, if I just do all of these things, I'm going to better my application, and I'm going to get it at some point, whether it's this year or not. As long as I keep working towards it, I'll get it. So I know that's really, really cheesy because everybody says it, but it's so important. You just have to be dedicated to it.
Right. So we worked with you on this this cycle for, your interview and your statement. And how did you go about looking? I mean, after the first time and you didn't get in, what made you decide to try and seek out help?
Yeah, so after that, I wrote my personal statement. So what really, I had a friend who actually used your service also, and she was telling me about it, and she said it was really helpful. And so the first personal statement I wrote, I thought it was pretty good. And then when I came back to write it for this cycle, I had no idea what to talk about. And so I wrote this personal statement, and it was awful. I'm going to be completely honest. It was awful. And I had my sister read through it. I had my boyfriend read through it. I had everybody read through it, and everybody was telling me it was good. And that's because, family members and close people usually don't want to criticize it too much. Right. So I realized that I needed somebody else that's unbiased to read through it. And I was really set on getting in this cycle. This is what I want to do. I want to start now. I want to, I want to keep going at this. So that's when I realized, I might as well just get some help on it.
And then, we went through the mock interviews. Do you feel that helped you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I felt super prepared. The last couple of interviews that I did, I felt like I walked in really prepared, not overconfident, but also, realizing that I am also interviewing the school, which I know is a thing that we talked about a whole bunch of times, but being able to actually have that confidence and walk into the interview like that, I feel like I had such an advantage at that point.
Good. Well, you definitely show the confidence. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I hope so.
So when do you start school?
Next September. So
Wow.
a while.
Nah, that's okay. That's exciting time. At least the stress is over. You know you're on your way to this path.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really excited.
Well, I want to thank you once again for doing this interview with us, and of course, can't stop without saying congratulations. I mean, I appreciate you working with us and glad that we're able to help you towards the success. Ideally, in about a year, I'd love to come back to you, maybe a year and a half after you've been in school for a little while. I'd like to talk to you again and see what your experiences are after your first year.
Yeah, sounds good. After I'm drowning and studying.
Right. It is always interesting to get the perspective. I mean, I know you're smiling and happy now, and look, you're always going to be happy you're a PA, but it is going to be tough, but I know you're ready for it. You're going to do great.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So.
Okay. Thanks again for doing this, Courtney. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all the help.